All right, so welcome, my enormous audience today. Um, we got a short presentation today, about 15 minutes, talking about some SDVoE features, specifically advanced multi-views and video walls in this SDVoE environment. My name is Art Weeks. I'm the Director of Product Management here at ZeeVee. Thank you. So I've been with ZeeVee about 7.5 years now, and ZeeVee is one of the founding members of the SDVoE Alliance. Really want to just introduce you to the basics here today. I can't go into a really deep dive on how multi-views or video walls are created. I have a separate class for that. It's about an hour and 15 minutes long. But in 15 minutes, I want to give you an idea of what a multi-view is and really what a video wall is. So starting here is very simple, 2x2 multi-view. So that's 4 unique sources in one display or one canvas, shall we say. And one of the things normally about a multi-view is you're maintaining that same aspect ratio for all of your sources. A typical display is a 16:9 ratio, like 3840 by 2160. And your sources usually are going to be of that same initial ratio. So we have the ability to maintain that ratio throughout all of the sources. In a 2x2, if you think of the end destination as 3840 by 2160, then all of the sources, obviously they need to be smaller than that. They're the equivalent of 1920 by 1080. So you get 4 1920 by 1080 sources, all kind of married up right to each other with no borders, and it completely fills that multi-view environment. That's not a hard requirement. As I said, you can do a custom multi-views. If you want to introduce borders into this, you can. So there's a little bit of math here today. So if you've got a 4-source multi-view, how many unique ways do you think you can create this particular multi-view pattern? And the number might be a little bigger than you think. So in a simple 2x2, you can create 24 unique multi-views just by how you place these sources within the grid. We move up to a 3x3, 9 sources. And as simple math would dictate, that means everything gets a little bit smaller. So if you maintain that same 3840 by 2160, all of the sources now become the equivalent of 1280 by 720. And again, they perfectly fit the canvas or the window and maintain that same 16:9 ratio. How many unique ways can you configure a 3x3? This number gets really big really fast. 362,880 ways you can configure a 3x3 multi-view with 9 unique sources. Taking it up one more level here, within a ZeeVee environment, you can have up to 19 unique sources. In this example, showing 16 of them. So 4x4, again, if we assume that 3840 by 2160, everything still has to get smaller, and they become the equivalent of 960 by 540. Again, no borders, everything married up nice and tight to each other here. And these are all just very basic multi-views we're talking about still. Back to the last math question of the day, I think. How many ways can you configure a 4x4 multi-view with 16 unique sources? And the answer is about 21 trillion. So that might take a little time. So one of the great things about SDVoE when it comes to a multi-view, there's no additional hardware required. You've got your encoders for your sources, decoders for your destinations or displays, then you have the API or the management server, and that's all you need. This is just showing an example of the ZeeVee interface. So we provide a nice GUI graphical user interface. We let you go in here, select from a number of preset patterns. We give you about 12 or so patterns to choose from. But again, if you want to go create something that's not a pattern, that's easy enough to do. If you do select a pattern, you just grab your sources, drag them into that pattern, give it a name, save it, and you're done. Now you can use that multi-view wherever that you like within your environment. You can drag and drop that or route that to any decoder on the network. Custom multi-view. take a little look here. The SDVoE supports this concept of layering. So you can have windows sit on top of other windows. They can fully obscure or partially obscure other window information. So in these two examples here, I got Multiview number 1 on the left. I've introduced a fifth window, source E, sitting on what I determined here as layer 3. And there can be up to 9 different layers for this layering feature. So where a higher numbered layer sits on top of a lower numbered layer. So in this example, source E is going to partially obscure all of the sources behind it that were on layer 2, the lower numbered layer. To the right, Multiview number 2, I've introduced a source F on layer 4, which is partially going to obscure that source C on layer 3, then fully obscure that source that's on layer 2. Now, important thing to know about layering is all of these streams are always being received by the decoder. So you can transition the layering and it's completely instantaneous on the fly because the decoder does not need to go out and subscribe to a new multicast stream. It's already receiving it. So you can do really cool things like picture-in-picture here. And you can transition this picture, again, instantaneously. So here I've got a small window sitting on top of a larger window. But if I want to transition that, I can make it appear or disappear instantly on the fly. So hide or reveal just by changing the layer that one of the two images is sitting on. So custom imaging. This is an example of a multi-view to a video wall while using the layering feature. This photo I actually took at the Infocom, the ZeeVee booth last year, but it's just illustrating basically a 2x2 multi-view with a fifth window kind of overlaying on the top, and then that entire thing routed to a 3x2 video wall. This is a customer example making use of this multi-view feature. Not only a multi-view, but also that layering feature as well. This is Big Shots Golf. And if you look at the window on the top right there, it appears to be a 5-window multi-view. We've got the Big Shots Golf application kind of in that top middle. You've got a satellite receiver, a feed in the bottom left, and you have a digital signage player on the bottom right. Then you see the Big Shots Aggieland logo in the top left and right corners. This is actually 4 windows, not 5. The Aggieland logo is sitting as a background layer covering the entire screen. Then the 3 windows are simply sitting on top of that on a higher numbered layer. So it's 4 encoder sources kind of creating the illusion of 5 windows. Changing sources in a multi-view. So you can change sources completely on the fly, and it is darn near instantaneous when you do this. Within the ZeeVee GUI or API, there's just a simple command. You say set multi-view, name of your multi-view, which window do you want to change? So window number X, what is the new source or new encoder? And you just put that command in and bang, the source in that window will change instantly. Text overlay is another feature of Multiview, so you can label your windows if desired. Some customers use this feature, some customers don't. It's just simple text. You can see some labels here, like in this image, top left is ZeeVee, top right is Budapest, bottom left is Jazz, and bottom right is London. You can change the color of the text, the size of the text, or the location of the text in the window. So that's a really quick introduction to multi-views. Let's take a quick look at some video walls here. Video wall is a little bit kind of the opposite. It's one source to multiple displays. In a ZeeVee environment, we support a video wall up to a size of 15 by 15. So really anything from 2 screens up to 225. Realistically, the biggest wall I ever really see is maybe like a 4x4 or 4x5. Anything bigger than that, and customers are going to LED now. So I'm not seeing these, 15 by 15 video walls. It just doesn't happen. One important thing is all of the displays are technically time synchronized, or what we call gen locked to the source. That makes all of the displays in sync with each other, so you don't see any weird abnormalities, like during a scene change, for example. All of those displays are going to change exactly at the same time as each other. So one thing I like to talk about with a video wall is the flexibility and what you can do once you've got a video wall created. So here we've got a 4x4 wall example, which means you've got 16 independent displays and 16 decoders, one for each display. And at its most basic, you're going to throw a source up on the entire wall. So here I've got a source, and it's covering all 16 displays. However, you're not locked into this. If I want to make a change, for example, put something in the top left corner, I can do that, and the rest of the wall will continue to run. If I want to throw something in the top right corner, I can do that. If I want to break this up maybe more logically, I can create smaller walls within the larger wall environment. So I can do a 2x2, another 2x2, 2x2, and then a 2x2 down there. So I've, in essence, taken that one larger wall and created 4 small walls within it. If I want to change it up even a little bit more than that, say maybe go to a 3x3, and then put individual content around all the other displays. So this, again, flexibility is kind of the key word here. I can do anything that I want within the video wall environment. So I've introduced a little bit of Multiview, a little bit of video wall very quickly. There is a concept of sending a Multiview to a video wall, but you do need 2 pieces of extra equipment. You need 1 extra encoder and 1 extra decoder to accomplish this. What you do is you create your Multiview, feed that to a decoder, which then feeds an encoder, which then routes to the wall. And we call that a Multiview flattener. The example here shown on the left, we've created the Multiview. That decoder connects directly, again, to that encoder. Then that encoder is going to feed whatever size wall you've already created. And then this lets you really do some unique things within the SDVoE environment. Here's an example of a customer requirement. They had an LED wall, actually, that had 2 separate LED controllers, a left and a right, I guess you might say here. And their requirement was to be able to show, one source over the entire LED, as well as showing individual sources kind of spread out throughout it, including one right in the middle, which would break right between the seam. So with the concept of a Multiview to a video wall with a Multiview flattener, we can do this. And I very quickly was able to set up a demo just in my lab using regular displays, not an LED controller, and was able to show the customer kind of a very quick proof of concept that we can meet his requirements. One thing I've seen a lot of recently are these widescreen displays. These large 32:9 displays have become very, very popular. And again, within the SDVoE environment, with this concept of a multi-view, I can create all different types of patterns for that customer to make use of that 32:9. They can do a full 3840 by 1080 in this example, or they can break that up into a 2x2 image, so 2 side-by-sides, or a 2x2 plus a large one, so 5 windows, or even break that up into an 8-image multi-view for them, maintaining that ratio across all the displays. So again, I'm seeing this more and more in the industry, especially in the corporate environment, a lot of these big displays. Custom imaging, so technically any part of any input can be sent to any portion of any display and proportionally scaled. So this gives you a lot of additional flexibility for how you want to display data. So a customer sent me this image. They wanted to create a 3x2 video wall, but they did not want the image stretched when it was sent to the wall, which is what we would normally do in a video wall. We'd fill up all 6 of those displays, but they didn't want that. They wanted black bars on the left and the right because they wanted to maintain the original ratio. Well, that's not a problem. We can certainly do that with this feature of, again, any portion of any image to any display. So we're able to set this up really quickly. Here's just another photo I took at Infocom last year where I was performing that particular feature. I did not take a picture, but the other thing I can do is I can throw smaller windows into that black bar area on either side to fully use the environment. And that can look pretty cool as well. So technically I had 9 images on the 6 displays. The last topic to talk about here before I wrap it up is the ability to scale, crop, and box. And I think a lot of customers don't understand what this means. So I wanted to try and describe it for you here. So this only comes into play when your source image is not the same ratio as where you're trying to send it. So in this example, I've got a source image that's a 21:9 ratio, but I want to send that to a standard 16:9 display, like 4K 3840 by 2160. And what we can do here, as I said, scale, crop, or box. The first example is what we call boxed output. So we're going to take that full original content and present it to the display. And when you do that, you get black bars on the top and bottom. Maybe you've heard the term letterboxing. So this is very similar to that. So you get your full content, 100% of it, but you're not allowed to fill up the entire screen to enable that. Next, we've got something called cropped output. So here what we've done is we decided I'm going to fill up the entire screen, but I don't want to do any scaling. So what happens here is you actually lose data. You're cropping the left and right sides of the image. So you lose a little bit of that information on either side of the screen. And the final thing here is we can scale it. So we take that original 20:9, we put it on the 16:9 display. You get all of the data, but you get distortion now, because technically you've stretched that image top and bottom to fill in what was the black bar area in the boxed version. Now you've filled that in with data, and so everybody kind of got a little bit taller, I guess you might say. So those are just, again, some very quick examples showing you multi-view video wall within that SDVoE environment. Thank you for joining. Hopefully, I fit that right into about 15 minutes or so. If you want to see some demonstrations, stop by the ZeeVee booth. We're about 30 seconds to my left here within the same hall. So come on by. You can see any demos that you want to see. Thank you very much.